February 1991. Dear Princess, thank you for letting me stay at your castle. Your father, the king. May 1991. I didn't ask to be in the room with you. Which is funny because tonight I did. January 1994. I saw Cool Runnings. It was great. In elementary school, I was friends with a girl named Megan. We immediately bonded over our nonsensical senses of humor, and we usually paired up to write our required weekly spelling stories. One of which involved an intelligent and retrospectively sociopathic baby who liked to dig up her neighbor's flowers and put them in her hair, roots, worms, and all. The more time I spent with Megan, I began to realize that although I was indeed a very weird child, she actually was a sociopathic baby. She developed an intense, contrived relationship with her imaginary friend, Bob, who would regularly steal one of my belongings when I spent the night at Megan and Bob's house. Even as a 9-year-old, I saw through this extremely thin lie. Despite her crazy plot lines and character development, I judged her ability to choose a creative name for her friend. Even though she creeped me out more and more as time went on, we maintained a pretty solid and fun friendship for a few years. Something we did a lot was play Spies, one of those fantastic childhood games when you could cultivate suspense and fear without actually having to be afraid of anything. Until one day. This particular day, pretending to be seeking or avoiding an enemy of the state, or maybe just that gross boy in our class, I had the absolutely genius idea, and I really thought it was a good one, to climb in their baby blue bathtub and close the shower curtain around me. I sat there plotting my next brilliant move when I heard footsteps closing in on the bathroom. A second later, the bathroom door closed. This is the one moment, this fleeting millisecond of my life, was the only chance I had to act. I did not act. Through a sliver between the tile and fabric, I could see Megan's mother zip in the direction of the toilet. There I sat, brilliantly frozen in the blue bathtub, my only chance for escape already a zipper sound past. I was sure I'd luck out. I was so idiotically sure that it'd be a quick pee. I was dead wrong. Megan's mother proceeded to take a leisurely 20-minute long shit. I'm a person who becomes embarrassed when someone is in the bathroom for longer than 3 minutes. Sometimes even if it is my boyfriend, and especially when it's me and there is someone within 20 feet of the bathroom. And there I was, my whole 9 years flashing before my eyes. Birthday parties, sewing with my grandma, being made fun of in school, making fun of kids in school, science projects, my horrible 3rd grade teacher, and this woman's leisurely 20-minute long shit. Utter panic set in within a minute. About 59 seconds after my only chance to save myself, she began her leisurely 20-minute long shit by lighting a cigarette. My chances of remaining undetected were halved. I stifled coughs and I held my breath so long I'm surprised that I'm still with you. It was then that I realized that my horrific circumstance could get even worse. What if she's going to take a shower? What if after this leisurely 20-minute long, rank as hell shit, she was going to pull back the curtain and see me squatting there, shaking, my face beet red from the humiliation and asphyxiation. She would scream, I would cry and apologize, and then there'd be yet another person that my shy self could no longer make eye contact with. But what if, like many of us, she just reached right in there without looking and turned the water on? Then I'd be crying, humiliated, and scalded. My mind raced as her magazine pages flipped. I actually think I heard makeup compacts opening and closing. How efficient. This journey through a leisurely 20-minute long shit being taken by an oblivious quasi-authority figure required endurance and a tolerance for pain I had not yet achieved. I was so engaged in my own panic that I did not notice the sound of the toilet flushing, or the fact that her leisurely 20-minute long shit was over, and from what I could tell, she was no longer in the bathroom. Very slowly, so painfully slowly, I peeled back the curtain about an inch. She was gone. I could not believe my good fortune. I still can't believe it. I remember literally nothing after that moment, and really, I had this whole shameful experience blocked out of my memory until about 3 weeks ago when I decided it'd be a good story to tell in public. You're not checking behind the shower curtain for ghosts, or murderers, or clowns, or balloons, or whatever it is that you're afraid of. You're checking behind your shower curtain for extremely stupid children. I left out milk and cookies for him and left my letter or Christmas list in the window. When I was maybe 6 or 7, I wrote a letter to Santa in which I instructed him to tell a boy in my class that I had a crush on him. When I discovered that Santa was, my mother, my very first thought was of this letter and the embarrassing implications of leaving it in the window. To this day, I am so completely beyond mortified that I want to puke every time I think about it. I also realize now that I had pretty high expectations of privacy. I was little, maybe 6 or 7 years old, when my parents and I went on a vacation to Niagara Falls. This vacation didn't appeal to me in the least because Niagara didn't end with land or world. Even park would have been fine. At the onset of this trip, all I could envision was the crippling boredom that I would endure over the next week. At least I was allowed to bring my very favorite teddy bear, a 3-foot-tall number named Alice that my mom made for me the previous Christmas. At some point during the packing process, my child-sized imagination ran wild and I thought of bringing Alice right down to the falls themselves. But maybe I'd trip or something, and I thought in horror of Alice plummeting down the Great Falls, her brown, furry body all akimbo, falling into the watery abyss. It was then that my interest in this previously dull vacation was piqued. Despite having books, road bingo, and all other manner of conventional road trip amusements, I did what any child would do and dangled my Barbie out the window as my stepdad piloted the car down the Coeur d'Alene 401 highway at 1,000 miles an hour. Her blue skirt flapped violently in the wind for about 5 seconds until it was ripped from her body. I didn't even see it happen, I just heard the sound of unwilling Velcro. I pulled her back into the car and found her nude from the waist down, bearing her obscured plastic shape for all to see. I panicked. I yelled at my stepdad to turn around, begging and pleading. "We have to go get her dressed. We have to, please." There were crocodile tears, there were boogers, and I'm pretty sure I sounded like a pterodactyl. Being of reasonably sound mind, my parents understood the logistic stupidity of backtracking miles to look for doll clothes on the highway. "Honey, we can't. It's just gone now. You have plenty more Barbie clothes," my mom said, not exhibiting nearly as much concern over this tragedy as I expected from her or any decent parent. Sure, I had more Barbie clothes. I had at least 3 plastic grocery bags stuffed with Barbie clothes dating back to the 70s, but not one item was this exact blue skirt. Through his laughter, my stepdad managed to say, "Well, that'll teach you a lesson." I was inconsolable with rage, sadness, and incredulity at the lack of sensitivity my parents were showing during this trying time. As I subsequently enjoyed a long and successful career of sticking my possessions out of rapidly moving vehicles, I guess the only real lesson I learned was that my parents were sociopaths. Thank you. And thank you, Brad.